so let's just, should have done that 30 minutes ago, but whatever. We get to be human here. We get to be raw and real and make mistakes. And the other mistake I just wanted to point out that I put in the chat is that I didn't put the connection exercise for this week. It was just a replay of last week. So I put it in. So if you want to go back to 2.3, the lesson, there's a connection exercise. So, or you can do it at the end after we're all done, because it's so hard to fit in even one more thing. So let me go to screen share and go here and go share. Okay. Okay, so this is the whole thing about the body's wisdom, and that we do react and that we feel it in our bodies, and that it becomes tense, hot often, tense, glitchy stomach. I don't know if any of you have a different response, but those are some of the big ones. Fists, jaw, shoulders, neck, throat, pressure in the eyes, pressure in the forehead, pressure on the chest. And these are the signals that something matters. It's trying to get our attention. And it is, again, how we're designed. It's normal, it's intelligent. And the big thing is not that we react, because that's just part of how we're designed. It's that we don't react at. And that's what we tend to do. And so the key is to own and to go, the one of the tools is broadcast. And what's happening in my body, what I'm feeling, and what I'm needing, and my thoughts. Just careful. So those are the big things. And again, we're kind of taking a chunk every week. And so it's again, not react at, but own, notice I'm reacting. And the biggest clue for me was, my body. For some people, it's words. There are specific words that they use, like always, never, I'm right. I know I'm right about this. That's another clue, but so much of my wisdom came from my body. And it started in my shoulders. And then as I started to pay attention and slow down and pay attention, I noticed my jaw, I noticed my stomach, I noticed my pressure on my chest, and my breathing would get really shallow, like I'd almost hold my breath. So these are all clues supporting us to go, I'm off track, something matters. And it's usually when our child is throwing something at us. So something matters to them, but I'm not good at being able to respond until I can support myself, until I can realize, oh, I'm triggered because I'm tired and I don't want them to react. I want ease. I want them to just say, yes, mama, let me help you with the garbages. That does not always happen. Or yes, I'm willing to go to practice, or yes, I'm ready for school, or, we just want those things. And that's not usually what we receive. And so it's really anchor to support, which was from the first week, and just acknowledge, I'm off track. This is hard. I'm really having a reaction right now. I'm activated, something's going on. And we can't always in the moment have time and space to deal with it. So it's just take a sort of a cliff note or a note to, I'm going to get back to you later. I'm going to do the best I can. I may yell at my child. I may give them angry face. I may tell them what to do. I may control them. They may have a reaction, but I'm doing the best I can. So again, the problem is not either of us reacting. It just means something is important. Something's been activated within us. It's don't take that and then dump it at each other. Okay. And as questions come up, feel free just to say that. So this is, again, the pain cycle. This is what we learned how to cope, and that something happens, our child says, or is in a grumpy mood because they just got benched, or they they want to go to school in their pajamas and they just can't because there's some dress code rules. So, they're just so frustrated and they just have so much to say about that and so much emotion. And you're like, come on, I don't have time for this. So it's just, again, it's hard not to react. That's why we give ourselves a break. We try to take a breath, because that's the solution. But what really happens is we get frustrated and we go into fight, flight, freeze, and we just blow it. And we are right, and you can't go to school in your pajamas, and would you just get dressed? And we get so frustrated, and luckily, we have someone who can jump in. But that's normal. That's how we were raised. That's how our culture tells us. So again, it's not demonize or beat ourselves up or inner critic. A lot of times the inner critic has a heyday all in this, but it's just being able to see as we go through this process of, oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I have pressure. Oh, I'm in those comparison. Why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you be like your brother? All those things happen. So we're in the body awareness point of just become more aware of when you get tight, because that helps us get out of the pain cycle to be able to have something to work with. So again, raise your hand if there's any questions about this. And usually for me, I go to rational and I try to tell them why this makes sense, and that doesn't meet them emotionally. So that's the big takeaway here, is meet them emotionally, because when I come from rational or I come from anger, reactive, it just invalidates what's going on for them. So again, not bad, just not skillful. So what we really want to do is, when we have that same, no, I'm wearing my pajamas. No, I should be playing. I can't believe that coach. He's such a blah, 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 blah. It's my brother's fault. How dare he, there's just all the things. And that it feels painful. It is agonizing. And so we anchor. We just go, oh yeah, that's hard. We validate, and we just go clue into either ourselves or just say, hey, what's going on in your body? What does that disappointment feel like? What physically does it feel like? Are you feeling glitchy in your stomach? Are you feeling something in your jaw? It really can help them guide their own inner awareness. And that's the big clue, is there's so much wisdom in the body that can help us get out of our heads or our reactive states. Because what's usually happening is they're feeling powerless. They're feeling scared. They're feeling disappointed. They're feeling stuff that they can't even name. And they've been taught to kind of repress because it's messy and it's hard. So it's okay. Tune into the body. So the body scan is just this awareness of slow down and where is it? What's going on? And it's been so helpful for me to figure out, because otherwise I'd be in it. I'd be like ruminating, and I'd be like, I am right, and this is happening, and it is your fault, and you should change, and you shouldn't be disappointed, and you shouldn't be needing your pajamas, and you shouldn't be, all the things. I would try to change their behavior because it was uncomfortable for me. So this is the first step to help me go, ooh, I'm having a hard time. Something matters and I'm off track. So it helps me do the U-turn and come back. Something's here for me to learn. And again, the great thing is to have just little bite-sized things of, can I do a body scan? It takes less than 30 seconds. And with the trigger tracker of just, is there a pattern? What's the pattern? Does it happen at the same time every day? Is it, because of school? Is it because of friends? Is it because of me not, worrying about something else? It's just break it down so that we can start to be able to work with it. Because when it's subconscious, we can't really do anything with it. We can't make a different choice. Okay. So what are the yeah buts and what are the scenarios we want to role play or work with? And Carol, I saw that you had come, so I just want to say welcome.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for being late.
No worries. I knew you were driving your son.
Yeah.
So what we started out doing was saying a win and something that was frustrating or a struggle. So I don't know if you want to put anything in and something, again, if anyone else has what they want to work with.
I really, something I struggle and writing down the struggle, my triggers helped me. I knew about it already, but it was just a reminder that at home we have, so I have a 15, a 13, and a 10-year-old. And so when we come home, normally lunchbox need to be empty because they ate and it need to be put away. And every day they don't do it. There is, and it's been a year. And I tried many ways and I get triggered the same way every time I start comp, reminding them. And it just, and he set up, the welcome home, and the welcome home is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, and when I see the empty, the full lunchbox, or half a full, of course they are not centered and they are hungry and
Angry.
so I know all of that, and I tell them all of that. I'm really rationalizing, hearing you saying you are very rational. I'm there often, and so this is my big struggle, and I try to find many different strategies, and they all fail.
Yeah, so that sounds discouraging for you.
Yeah. Next year will be another year.
And I hear you've put a lot of care and love into nutritious meals so they can have all the fortification that they need. And then you're like, really, this is the thanks I get?
Exactly. Why do I spend time making you hot lunch every day?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm less angry at that now because I realize it's my choice. Before I was very but it's still, I don't know. And the fact that it's not clean and I need to ask 10 times and they are not hearing me, they don't care about what I say or I feel like that. It's the stories.
Yeah. So the story you're telling yourself is that they don't care, and they don't even care enough to put their lunch boxes away and clean them and get them ready for the next day so you can fill them.
Yeah. Because often in the morning for my 15-year-old, it's still in his backpack. And to warm up the thermos, you need hot water. You need to have a cleaner and not in a backpack.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We could go into strategy, but what I hear is that that's frustrating for you, and you would love ease. The needs that aren't met are ease and partnership and being seen.
Share reality. And cooperation. We are all together to, maybe big ideas as a family is we are a team working together to have fun and joy.
Yeah.
It's
not always the experience. And where do you feel that frustration and disappointment in your body?
For that thing, my jaw is tight, and I can be very vocal, so I have a lot of energy in my throat. It's not tight, but it's a lot of energy there. And I breathe really. I have a shallow breathing. It's kind of tight.
Yeah.
And it's where it is.
Yeah. You have unmet needs, and kids are not very good strategies for meeting their needs.
And especially teenagers. I feel like as the kids worse.
They're not reliable. And
Yeah.
we're going to get, I was just building actually the needs one. And it's just, again, oh, it would be wonderful if they were reliable strategies, but they're just not. Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoy in one of your conversation online. It was a very good reminder when you say when your child is insulted or angry, it's not about me, but it's about them, that they need something, they are in need. And sometimes I forget that it's really not personal. It's more that they have a need, and I need that reminder regularly.
Yeah. Because they have this whole world that we don't have
Yeah.
the vision of. And
Yeah.
especially at the older ages,
Mhm.
it's so much about social and about
Yeah.
belonging and feeling, because they're kind of separating from us as the parental family unit and figuring out how to belong in this social world.
Yeah. It's
So
hard.
a lot of
And
compassion.
sometimes they are split between the two, and they want to have it all, and it's not possible.
Yeah.
And,
I know my girls who are now in their 20s are like, oh, those days when it was more simple back in,
Mhm.
junior high or high school. And so it's just, yeah, just listen. So much of it
Yeah.
is of our work is not to fix and counsel like I thought it was. I thought my job was to be the wise one and to, guide them. And really what they want is to be met emotionally and
Mhm.
seen and heard. And if we can just do that part, again, once we're centered and calm,
Mhm.
that is just huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't have a question, Heather, I was gonna want to work with your boys. And I was just curious if you had any awareness of when your boys started to get into it, what was happening in your body?
So I think what happens in my body is a tightness across the shoulders, and then the start of like tightness in my forehead, almost sort of like when you're starting to get a headache.
Mhm.
Those are the sensations that I feel.
Yeah. So good you can recognize them. Not that it makes it go away, but the first step is just noticing, oh, this probably means I have a feeling I'm maybe not wanting to feel or don't have time to feel. And again, that there's an unmet need. So that's why the body sensations are so supportive for us. And could you tell what you were feeling when they started to do what they do?
It happens so quickly. Usually I'm just sort of thinking like, oh, not again.
Yeah.
Like, why are you guys, I'm trying to drive you to school, and you went from perfectly fine to like yelling at each other because somebody looked funny at, in a different
Nonverbal.
direction at you. But
Yeah.
yeah. Or somebody was putting on sunscreen and a drop fell on you, and that, was the end of the world. And so I think I just get a lot of frustration over what I feel like in my mind. I'm like, these are small things. Why are you angry about them? And then I was realizing, I think when Carol was talking a little bit, that I think what also triggers me is throughout these conversations, I don't get upset if my children get mad at me and if they're screaming or swearing. I'm pretty calm with that. I don't care about a messy house, but I realize where I get triggered is when they get in these arguments and then I'm trying to intervene and they're not listening to me. And then I'm the one that doesn't feel in control. And that's what's the most triggering to me, I think, is that I'm feeling like I'm not being listened to or I'm not being respected.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's a good awareness because whatever they're doing isn't about us. So isn't it interesting how we put that layer on? Oh, this means I'm not being respected. Oh, this means I'm not in control. Oh, this means I'm somehow not important, or maybe I'm less important, or I mean, I don't know what exactly it is, but it's just notice that those are stories, thoughts, and it's all fiction. because what actually happens, and this is what we'll get into the thought one in week 5, is the difference between what's actually happening and then what I think about what's happening. And it's very different, but in our minds, it's real. It's all real, both. And so it's good awareness that what triggers you is that you want respect. Maybe deserve respect, maybe want to be valued, or you want to contribute. And when they were littler, this was so much easier. And now that they're differentiating, that's not their focus. So just notice what comes up for you when we feel like it's supposed to be a certain way. They're supposed to listen. They're supposed to hear my wisdom. They're supposed to not fight. All the supposed tos are what really create the suffering and the challenges for us. So hugs to you, because kids fighting is like nails on a chalkboard. It's like babies crying, right up there for me with the most triggering things. So I understand completely. And a lot of it is grieving that your sons don't have the relationship you dreamed they would be having right now, or that it's not going maybe the way you hoped it would go.
And maybe working on the patience with that part of it too, because I don't know for other people here, but I think Lindsay, you said your kids were really close in age. And for my two, it's either they're playing brilliantly together or they're fighting like cats and dogs, and it changes quickly, and then stays for quite a while. And whatever end of the spectrum they're on, it doesn't quickly move from one end to the other.
And they're lucky to have each other. And it's going to keep going back and forth like that, because that's the nature of sibling relationships. But the hard thing is when there's a triangle with us, at least this was the case for me, and I have all these supposed tos, and I have all these expectations, and I have all these shoulds. So maybe just play this week with, what if that's all fiction? And what is happening is actually exactly what is beautiful to happen. Their arguments, their fighting, their disagreements is just part of their growth.
It's hard for me.
Yeah, give me the yeah buts.
Personally, I can do it for a moment because I know it's what's but when I see it escalating and one pushing down on the other one, I don't know. I always say you can disagree, but we can't push down. And I don't know. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hard. And especially because we have our opinion about how it's supposed to be going. And especially for the littler, younger ones, I want to defend them and save them and protect them. And so it's just notice, oh, I'm doing that protector thing. Oh, that part of my persona is coming out. And maybe I'm actually mucking it up. Maybe I could just observe. Or maybe I can give myself a big compassionate dose of, oh, this is hard. This reminds me of my relationship with my sister or my brother. Oh, and that was so uncomfortable. I felt so scared, or whatever. Something is inactivated within us. It's probably from our own childhood.
Can I chime in a little on the control piece? Because don't know if it makes sense, but I realize when things get messy, and I don't have siblings, so I mean I just have one child, but it's messy just with one child so often, or
Yeah.
his thoughts, his ways you know, sometimes I'm like, God, I just want you to be more evolved. Like the way you're responding to this is not how, like it makes me so uncomfortable. And like, it's so hard for me to just sit in that messiness of just like, my son's growing. He's a human boy who's growing, and this is his time to make mistakes and learn, and it's okay. But it's so hard so often to hold that. So
Yes.
the controlling part comes because I'm scared of the messiness. Like I get scared of it. Like it's like super frightening for me to see. I mean, you know, my son will like have a hard day and then he'll like wish the most horrible revenge on somebody who hurt his feelings. I mean, the most horrible revenge, like hanging them from a noose on it, you know, I mean, it's just super shocking. And I want to control that. Like that shouldn't be in your thoughts, you know, instead of being able to hold like, okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, that control is quite interesting because it's, yeah, it really feels like it's just so much of that's what happens in my life when anything feels beyond, it just feels messy, not just with my child, but in so many ways I try to keep my life in this orderly sense of control. And
Yeah.
because that's when I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe not being
Yeah.
in control.
Oh, that was so well said, Laura. That is so insightful. And yes, it's terrifying not to feel in control and to feel powerless and to feel like something's not okay. So yeah, of course it triggers your safety need and your
And to see the like ugly face of your child, right? You want to see their beautiful face. And when you see the total ugliness, you almost want to, I mean, sometimes I feel like I even re-speak his words to make him seem more, so I can see a beautiful face, which actually isn't what he's trying to show me. And it's like, I'm disrespecting him. I'm dishonoring him by not being able to just see that ugly, messy face that he wants, that's there. Like, it's hard for me to see it.
So hard. So it's, again, when you have it, support yourself. And when you don't, own and say, I need a break. I really want to be with you. I'm so torn right now because what you're saying matters. I can tell how much it matters to you. There's something that you want to express to me that is violent and ugly, and you're enraged. You're so in your bigness. And I want to hold space for that because I can tell that's alive for you. There's energy there. That's something important. And right now it's activating stuff from my own childhood, and I need to go get a drink of water. It's both, and it's trying not to shut them down, but it's not shut yourself down either, because that's real for you. Messy is hard. Messy was excruciating for me. I wanted things to go well. I wanted things to go orderly. I liked control. Control is safe. So it's honor yourself and what you're feeling and what's going on in your body and what you're needing, and honor him and her. Yeah. And messy is it's just extra compassion, and name it. Oh, this is feeling really, like ants are all over me. Or like I feel a little fear, and I want you to have your space and say and visualize whatever is right for you to move that energy, because you were really felt wronged and you felt frustrated and you felt angry. But I get that. And for whatever reason, something's also being triggered in me. So could we take a 10-minute break, and you can draw or listen to music or, stomp around or whatever you need to do, because I want that for you. And for me, I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm just a little pushed past what I have to give right now. So you brought up a really good point, that we don't have to this isn't one more to do for us. This isn't one more high expectation to be, this goddess mom who can just hold whatever our kids throw at us. That's not always true. The goal is raw and real and honest. and meet their emotions as we can and take a break and own that when we can't. So what else does this bring up? What other yeah buts? That was a great question, Laura. This is hard work. And it's amazing. Again, the more we show up, I can't speak enough from kind of coming on the other side and hearing my adult children and these skills are vital to hold their emotions when we can. Hold emotion first before problem solving. I always wanted to jump to problem solving because that's just where my mind went. That's what my family of origin taught me to do. Our culture teaches us to go right to, let's figure this out because it's so uncomfortable. We don't want to be uncomfortable. But the path to connection is through discomfort. It's through the vulnerability. It's through I don't know how to do this. And my message to myself is I'm supposed to know, or I'm supposed to have it all together. I'm supposed to be Gandhi parent. But I'm just me, and that's enough. Beautiful saying of Brene Brown, I'm imperfect and I'm enough. And it's through the discomfort that we connect. So what's another yeah, but or situation in the time that we have? Because this is good stuff. And it's unlearning so much of what we learned from our parents.
Isn't there a point though that this sounds very petty and immature, but
No petty, no immature, all good.
It's like these expressions we have to get out. And, just like there's a reaction and it's real and, sometimes it's not going to be that great, but I don't know. Sometimes I find it hard where it almost feels like gaslighting sometimes in a way where the kids will push buttons wanting a reaction because then it justifies their pain. And that just, it's hard.
Yeah. That's also a great point, is there is a part of children that want to test. And so it sounds like it feels like gaslighting to you of they're like, let's see how I can kind of trigger mom because my own pain is uncomfortable. Let me poke at her. Maybe wanting to distract themselves from their own pain. And the key thing, if I could just impart one thing in this world, is that whenever someone's in pain, they have an unmet need. And it has nothing to do with whoever they're directing the pain at. And that's a hard thing to translate. That if our child is going, and giving us angry face and just no and resistance and just it's your fault and literally dumping their worst at us, that is still about their unmet needs and pain. And it's my job to not take it in, not take it personally, knowing it is actually nothing to do with me. It's activating something in me, which is why it gets so messy. And that's my work, is to go figure out what in me got activated, what insecurity, what past unprocessed pain. Why are we now like this? The best thing is their pain is their stuff. My pain is my stuff. But Sarah, I'd love to work with more because I can tell how painful and hard it is when your kids direct it right at you. It was for me. so hard not to take it in and have it be just like a criticism in particular. I would just continually, I worked on it for years, and it would just feel like, and I couldn't not react. I couldn't not see that they were doing it to me. It would activate me every time.
What if you have a kid that's like doing it, taking it out on the sister? Like, how do you explain that to a child though?
Yeah, that is so hard. And then not get in the triangle that I got in,
Yeah.
where I was like protecting the younger one and I was demonizing the older one. And the older one never thought I loved her because I was always taking the younger one's side. And the younger one was just like, what the heck is happening? That's a hard situation. And as they get older, you coach the younger one on how to support themselves so you don't have to be in the middle. And you coach the older one on the impact of their big intensity. And just say, hey, we're wanting to get along, and everybody's got these big feelings, and let me hear about your unmet need. Let's just try to talk about what's going on underneath the surface. But just name it to get it out, get it up into the conversation realm. But that's a good question. Depending on how young the kids are, it's hard to have them understand.
It's tricky sometimes in our family when so they are argumentating and one is poking the other one, and I feel like there is so much history too, and tiny remarks will bring up so much. And even if you try to show or to explain, and it can be so messy, and everybody get involved in it.
Yeah.
And
at
the dining table.
So quickly.
Yes.
With multiple
within a
people.
second. Yeah. Just because of a look, or I don't know. It's if not everybody are in board. I don't know how to put everybody on board to, I don't know, have a peaceful meal or having a fun moment together.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about I can see that we all struggle with the similar situation in our families, and it feels good to, in a way, even if I don't wish that in anybody, but that we are not alone in those situations.
Yeah. And it is a high level, like graduate school, to be able to do it in the moment with multiple people. So as we're learning this whole new way of breaking the cycle and being away from the pain cycle and all our old painful patterns that are so ingrained, it's like a superhighway. And cultivating these new neural pathways that come from the heart and that come from our gut, where our feelings and needs are, or our values and needs are. And so it's really shifting this huge dynamic. So it's again, our expectations can be lower. We can't just make it all nirvana and everybody's kind and supportive and beautiful. I wish. And I think it's one little baby step at a time. And maybe after a really messy family interaction, pull one child aside, because I found that one-on-one interactions to make a repair and to get some clarity and to kind of figure out what was going on underneath, what the feelings were, what the needs were, is so much more effective than trying in the whole dinner table with, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you, all having your own interpretation of what's the problem and what's going on and what the feelings are. And I don't even care about the feelings. I just want to be right. And he said this and she's wrong. And you have to pay, mediator. And It's exhausting. So it's give ourselves a break and support ourselves, fill our own tanks, figure out what's going on with us, and then maybe choose one child and then go, hey, that family thing that was happening, you know, when your older brother said that, what did that feel like? What was going on in your body? What were you wanting? And that can start the building the habits of doing that inner inquiry and validating their inner experience. Because that's where the next generation will continue the cycle, is when they're not validated. And, you know, I'll just say my older daughter is struggling with, you know, how I wasn't able to validate her. And again, we're all doing the best we can. So it's not inner critic, but it's just, this is such wonderful, life-changing, supporting material to any baby step you can make to notice your own body wisdom, so that you can notice your feelings, so you can notice your needs. And once you're there, then you can do that for your child. So before problem solving, and it happens so quick, wonder what they're feeling. Oh, it makes sense you're feeling angry. Oh, it makes sense you're discouraged. Oh, you didn't get to go to the prom. Oh, that would just be heartbreaking. Are you feeling sad? It's just meet them where they are. There's no supposed to's. A lot to take in, but we're here doing this such important work. What other yeah, but questions? There's no dumb questions. As you envision bringing this back to the next time your kids wrestle, tussle, argue, or they say no, or they're sad about something. Validate ourselves and validate them. And Sarah, anything else about the gaslighting? Because I know I have felt exactly that, like they are doing it to me. I was sure. So I totally want to just resonate and reassure and validate you of,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's going to be a big indication because my daughter, who struggles from control issues, is now quarantined. And so there's a lot of rules on top of a lot of rules on top of a lot of rules happening.
That's her unhappy place. She's probably going to be crawling out of her skin.
Yeah, and controlling us in the process. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be,
Yeah.
so,
That's when you put your Teflon suit on and
Mhm.
just say, this is not about me. This is about her frustration, disappointment, angst,
Yeah.
sadness, discouraged, all these dreams she had for her prom, her senior year. Yeah, it's a lot of grieving. It's a lot of holding space for, my daughter just had to go through it, just tears. And she feels so much better today after having that space to be raw and real with. She was feeling stuck. So all we need to do is hold. We don't need to fix. We don't need to know how to do it. We don't need to do, just be that space. I used to call it empty container listening, of just zip it and be that heart space for them to be messy and raw and real. And then we go get our heart space with another adult so that we can be messy, or a journal. or the beach or the forest, or shake it out. Because we matter too. Any last thoughts, questions?
Can I ask something? Like, this is something I struggle with is like sometimes really being able to, okay, my son will be raging about something and I'm trying to like go, okay, this is not about me. Let me try to just hear you, like hear that pain inside of you and connect with that. But like maybe either I'm not able to center enough to really hear him. So I try to make guesses, or I try to go, oh, you must be feeling this. And it totally doesn't resonate for him at all. And that makes him even explode even more, like, no way. And, you know, it just,
Yeah,
there's just times where I feel like I don't know how to be there with him.
yeah.
Like, and I don't know if there's just maybe some, I mean, I don't want to script, but like maybe there would be some way to let him know I'm there,
Yeah.
but maybe not being so in his space trying
That's
to.
an incredible point, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because my daughter would always tell me, I need time and space. I don't want you hovering. I don't want you talking to me. I don't want you trying to figure out my feelings. Just go away. And that was what was honoring her and her big emotion. And she would go into her room and she would journal, and that would be the right thing for her, is just space, time and space. And after I would check on her a bit. So again, it's not put yourself in the lion's mouth. It's you ask and perceive what's the best thing for them to get through this, to get to their wholeness. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it isn't just continue to guess or ask, or because some kids are really nonverbal when they're in the middle of a rage, especially these strong-willed kids. And after a time, you know, maybe it was 20, 30 minutes, then I would go check back in and I would bring her a cup of milk. And that for her was sort of the peace offering. And then I would just rub her arm. And there weren't a lot of words. So it's just, I'm here, my presence is here, I care. But it's not, we have to dialogue about this and figure it out and name it correctly. And, you know, that wasn't her process. I needed to know the emotions and the needs that supported me and guessing hers, but we didn't need to have the dialogue all the time. And for her, writing was a better form. Yeah, so it's know your child. Maybe they just want to put in earplugs and just go for a walk, be in their room. Some way to kind of move and process this, of just give them the message, I get something matters. When you want to talk, I'm here. Yeah. And every child is different. So you just got to be, again, the detective of what's going to work for them.
I mean, I also have like objects being hurled across the room kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
and that brings a little different layer. But.
Yeah, and again, your safety matters and your home matters. So it is a place either at the end or you know, the next day, to set a limit and say, you know, I want you to be as angry as you need to be. That says something matters. That says, you know, something wants to be moved or changed. I want to honor that. And you don't get to hurt our house, and you don't get to hurt me, and you don't get to hurt yourself. Right? So there are limits and structure. And if you do, then this is going to be the consequence. Because they want to know where the limit is and where the structure is. So it's okay to set that up in advance. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we don't want to be a dish rag and just get, you know, we don't just take their abuse. If they're shouting at us, you say, hey, you know, this is too much for me. I need a break. So it's also, we matter.
and maybe like prearrange, you know, like have a plan when you're in this space. You can go jump on the trampoline, you can release the energy hucking the basketball, but
Yeah.
not throwing
Yeah.
the glass object across the room. Yeah.
Yeah. And a towel has been a really good thing, either twisting a towel, biting a towel, thwacking a hand towel. It has a very satisfying feel and sound. Thwack it against like a desk. So again, as long as you're not breaking things, that energy is real. It wants to be moved. It wants to express about how much this matters to him, how wronged he feels, how much he wants something to change. So it's constructively move that and not at another person and not damaging himself, a house, you. Yeah. But the anger is a whole thing into itself because it is intense with these strong-willed kids. And so how can you move that into honor it and move it into a constructive way instead of at each other or destructive? Yeah, that was a good point too. Good questions. Anything else? Before we go to put kids to bed or ourselves to bed or read or do some more self-care, whatever we can fit in. Just remember, we're here to just honor our kids. They've already got all that they need within them. And we're just here witnessing them and validating their emotions, because that's been so just extracted from our whole culture. Emotion is just not, it's, again, we don't do it well. So the first thing is just to keep noticing what's happening in your body, because that will guide you to what you're feeling, which is next week. And sprinkle in the parts of connection time, the connection exercise that I just added, and the no agenda time. Because again, they get so much have to, should, rule, expectation. They get so much of that in their day that it's so freeing and so supportive if we can just be with them without expectation, without agenda, without rules, without just to play, just to get to know you, just to be ridiculous. And if you can sprinkle that even 10 minutes, they will soak it up. So, last questions. I think Lindsay maybe had to go. Yes, Lindsay is beating us to the pillow. Well, thank you for your time and presence. If any questions come up, you're welcome to put them into the group community chat, and keep on going. You're doing really important, amazing, life, world-changing work, 1 minute at a time. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Good to see you all. We gotta do this.